Company Limited has completed acquisition of 10% minority equity stake in the issued shared capital of FCMB Pensions Limited, a subsidiary of FCMB Group PLC. The acquisition follows the receipt of requisite approval from the regulatory authorities, the National Pension Commission, and the Central Bank of Nigeria. The Securities and Exchange Commission has also been duly notified. The transaction, according to a release by the head branding and communication of the company, Victor Ayetoro, represents a strategic investment by Odua in Nigeria's growing pension industry, a resilient and steadily expanding segment of the country's financial services sector. It also strengthened FCMB's pension shareholders base, bringing together two established institutions with complementary strengths and a shared commitment to long-term growth and value creation. The group chairman of Odua Investment Company Limited, Otumba Bimbo Ashiru, according to the release, says the investment reflects Odua's strategy of partnering with strong institutions operating in sectors that are central to Nigeria's long-term economic stability and growth, while the group managing director of Odua Investment Company Limited, Mr. Abdurrahman Yunusa, said the partnership with FCMB Group PLC reflects confidence in FCMB Pension's strategy, leadership, and long-term potential. Odua Investment Company Limited is a leading investment holding company jointly owned by the governments of the 6 southwest states of Nigeria. The company manages a diversified portfolio across real estate, financial services, hospitality, agriculture, and industrial investments, with a mandate to generate sustainable economic values and support regional development. The Inspector General of Police, Olatunji Disu, has called on the Nigerian Police Trust Fund to channel more welfare intervention towards junior-ranked officers, stressing their critical role in frontline policing. According to him, junior officers bear the brunt of operational duties across the country. A statement by the force spokesman, DCP Anthony Palsid, said Disu made the call while receiving the Executive Secretary of NPTF, Alhaji Mohammed Shaidu, alongside members of the front boards of directors during a courtesy visit at the force headquarters in Abuja. The visit provided an avenue for strategic discussions aimed at strengthening collaboration between the Nigerian Police Force and the Trust Fund, particularly in advancing ongoing reforms and improving operational effectiveness. He identified personnel welfare as a key priority, noting that improved housing, accessible health care, and prompt payment of insurance and welfare benefits are essential to boosting morale, discipline, and efficiency within the force. He added that the funds remained focused on enhancing operational readiness, modernizing facilities, and aligning its intervention with the strategic priorities of the force. The Diocese of Remo Church of Nigerian Anglican Communion will host its 2026 Lenten lecture on Friday, March 20, 2026 at the Cathedral Church of St. Paul, Shagamu, Ogun State by 3 in the afternoon. According to the statement, the theme for this year's celebration is the irreversible promise of God and the place of patience. The host is His Grace Most Reverend Olushino Fakwe, while the guest speaker is Dr. James Olushola Odedeyi. The members of the public are therefore encouraged to be part of the program. We now move to business news, where the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has intensified efforts to ensure a steady crude oil supply to the Dangote Petroleum Refinery as part of moves to stabilize fuel availability across the country, especially with Brent hitting $108 per barrel. This comes amid heightened global oil market volatility occasioned by tensions in the Middle East and growing reliance on local refining to meet Nigerians' petroleum products demand. Speaking during a webinar hosted by the Major Energies Marketers Association of Nigeria, the Managing Director of NNPC Retail Limited, Hope Stockman, said the National Oil Company remains central to ensuring supply security through its statutory role. Stokeman explained that the company is working closely with the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority and other stakeholders to guarantee an uninterrupted supply of crude and refined products nationwide. The growing crisis in the Middle East is tightening the noose around Africa's fuel supply chain, with many countries now running on just weeks of refined petroleum products as key import routes comes under severe strain. According to the International Energy Agency, about 600,000 barrels per day of petroleum products typically destined for Africa from the Middle East are now at risk as tanker traffic through the corridor slows to a trickle. The development has forced governments across the continent to urgently seek alternative supply sources amid fears that wealthier nations could outbid African buyers in an increasingly tight global market. According to the sources, the unfolding disruption is exposing long-standing structural weaknesses in Africa's energy system, particularly the continent's heavy dependence on imported refined products due to years of refinery closures and underinvestment. Nigeria's fragile electricity supply chain is once again under strain as financial and contractual disputes between generation companies and gas producers disrupt fuel deliveries to power plants, worsening grid instability and intensifying blackouts across the country. This is according to industry insight and operational data from across Nigeria's power value chain. At the core of the crisis are mounting debts, foreign exchange challenges, and infrastructural vulnerability, all of which continues to undermine the reliability of gas-fired power plants that generates the bulk of Nigerians' electricity. Gas supply disruptions have immediate consequences for the national grid, often triggering widespread instability and reduced electricity output when power plants are forced to scale down or shut operation entirely. On the foreign scene, the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda have agreed to take concrete steps to ease tensions amid a stalled peace process after talks hosted by the U.S. in Washington. Meanwhile, Chad's president has ordered the military to retaliate against future attacks from Sudan following a drone attack that killed at least 17 people and injured several other people attending a funeral. Details are in this package.
On the foreign scene, the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda have agreed to take concrete steps to ease tensions amid a stalled peace process after talks hosted by the U.S. in Washington. Conflict in eastern DR Congo has continued despite the two countries signing a peace deal with U.S. President Donald Trump last year. The pledge to ease tensions comes after the U.S. earlier this month sanctioned the Rwandan Defense Forces and 4 senior officials and accused Rwanda of directly supporting the M23 rebel group, blaming it for escalating the conflict. A joint statement by DR Congo, Rwanda, and the U.S. says they have agreed to a series of coordinated steps to de-escalate tensions and advance progress on the ground. Elsewhere, Chad's president has ordered the military to retaliate against future attacks from Sudan following a drone attack that killed at least 17 people and injured several other people attending a funeral. Wearing military uniform, President Idris Mahamat Deby convened an emergency security meeting on Wednesday, where he ordered the military to be on high alert. He also ordered a total closure of the border with Sudan. He described the attack targeting the border town of Tile as outrageous and a blatant aggression against Chad's territorial integrity. He said that it had happened despite warnings to the two sides battling each other in Sudan and a previous closure of the border. And finally, on the foreign scene, at least 3 Palestinian women have been killed and 8 more injured when a beauty salon in the Israeli-occupied West Bank was hit. The women were killed by a direct hit from a cluster munition missile. The Palestinian Red Crescent Society, PRCS, said there was a direct impact of missile shrapnel. The incident happened in the town of Beit Ara, near Hebron, in the southern West Bank. At around the same time, a fire worker was also killed from shrapnel, which hit a farming community in Israel. And that's it on the foreign scene.
And from the foreign scene, we now move to the world of sports, where Europe's top league have been summoned to a meeting with UEFA in the summer to discuss how video assistant referee VAR technology is being used. The summit of referee chiefs from the Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, the Bundesliga, and League One will discuss how to reset a VAR to its intended interpretation of only intervening in the clearest of errors. Roberto Rossetti, the head of UEFA's referees, called the meeting after saying last month that games must not go in this direction of microscopic VAR interventions. UEFA wants to discuss with leagues how they use VAR and the threshold applied.